Hi, welcome to Cooking with Karen. My name is Karen Roybal. I am a NASM certified personal trainer and sports nutrition specialist, and cooking is one of my passions. And so for the month of January, all of the Wellbeing Wednesdays, you will get a cooking video from me, bringing you a short, healthy, easy recipe to cook in the kitchen. Some will be with my children, those will be fun. But for today, we'll start with one of my favorite things. This is a spaghetti squash. Once upon a time, I didn't know what to do with a spaghetti squash, but now they are one of my favorite vegetables. So we'll just run through some fun recipes, and I'll give you vegetarian and vegan options too. So the spaghetti squash, when you cut it in half, you'll gut it much like a pumpkin, and it will look like this. You'll take all the seeds out of it. I like to put olive oil and salt on it, and then you put it face down on your cooking sheet, and when it comes out of the oven, it will look like this. So you will bake these at 375 face down for 20 to 30 minutes, and you should be able to poke a fork in the outside shell to be able to tell when it's done. So you'll see here, this fork goes right through the shell, so you can see that it's done. So what you do is when it's all done, you can see that it starts to string out a little bit like spaghetti, which is why it's called a spaghetti squash. So I have two dishes that are my favorite to make with a spaghetti squash. One is just regular spaghetti, and you can use regular tomato sauce. I prefer to make my own with pureed tomatoes and spinach and garlic, but I do have some just tomato sauce here. So you'll string through and you'll get all of this stringy, spaghetti looking noodle type yumminess. And so we'll put a little bit of garlic and onion in the pan. And then I'll take as much as I can get. And I like to cook an entire squash that will feed my whole family. Sometimes it all comes out, sometimes it doesn't. And so I'll show you here what this looks like. Is you'll get kind of a substance here, or a noodle-like base here. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn on my stove to just kind of warm it up. And while you're warming that up, the first one that we'll make is spaghetti squash carbonara, which is one of my favorites. So this is coconut milk. We'll just put a whole can of coconut milk. This is gonna be a little bit much for a half a squash. So you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and just put half of that back. And then also in here, we're gonna put 2 egg yolks. So this is gonna get kind of messy here. We're gonna add 1 egg yolk. Now, for this to be vegan, if you wanted to omit the egg yolk, you could use a little bit of soft tofu. And this is just gonna thicken up the sauce. But if you're not looking for a vegan recipe, then the egg yolks work perfect. Get this out of here. Then we're going to put in some nutritional yeast. I love nutritional yeast. It's packed with protein. I think there was an eggshell in there. And then we're going to throw some parsley. And then we're going to add our salt and pepper. And you're going to kind of just let this sauce, this is the carbonara sauce, you're just going to kind of let this sauce sit while you warm up the spaghetti squash. So you just mix that up, and you can kind of see that it's going to get a little bit thick. That nutritional yeast gives a really great savory flavor. This recipe is on Whole30 Foods on Instagram. It is a whole food recipe Instagram that I subscribe to because it gives me a lot of really great ideas, even if I morph the recipe into some sort of a vegetarian or vegan, because it is not vegan. I'm going to add some spinach to the spaghetti squash. And I'm just going to stir this in. So you can see that basically right now we're just cooking with vegetables. Vegetables are my favorite thing to cook. I just started subscribing to the Imperfect Produce, and I get vegetables every other week. I'm not plugging anything, but I think it's pretty amazing. So then you're going to have this right here. This is your spaghetti squash with your spinach right here, and you can heat it up as long as you want to or as little as you want to, and then you're just going to add this carbonara sauce This is one of my favorite dishes to make. And it's gonna come out nice and creamy. You can add salt or pepper to taste. Now this is the vegetarian or vegan option. If you wanted to spice things up a little bit, because the coconut milk is full fat, my suggestion would be to add a lean protein. So my favorite lean protein to add to this is chicken breast. So you get kind of all of your balanced fats and carbs and protein. So this is how you make the carbonara. And then if you wanted to make spaghetti, all you would do is take the squash and heat it up in the pan, add the spinach, and then you would just put in your spaghetti sauce. And then if you wanted to add some protein, I usually use like a lean ground turkey. And then just a suggestion, instead of Parmesan cheese, for a vegan recipe, you can top it with the nutritional yeast. It gives it a really yummy, flavorful, savory taste. And that is my favorite spaghetti squash recipe. If you like this recipe and you would like more ideas, you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook at pushfitness541. I post fitness workouts. I post my favorite recipes that I find, and also workout and health motivation, and I invite you to follow me and check me out.